Welcome to the last class of this deep dive. Today is going to be, largely about review and questions and lots of playing, I hope, and lots of listening. I really feel like listening and imitating what you see and hear and feel from the tradition bearers is really the absolute best way of learning this music, or really any language. I started sharing this video that I found of Buddy MacMaster, and one of the remarkable things about this video is that, as some of you saw, they had this beautiful shot just coming this direction, so you could see in relief both hands. But just to see what he's doing, and what I want you to look for is the basic bow arm, and how the hand and arm, although they're not tight, they're not stiff, they move as one. So again, none of this classical maneuver stuff, and yet it's a silky smooth, stroke. It's not something that kind of sounds and looks kind of jerky. It looks like it's going to give the kicks and the energy just where it's needed. And it's a slower tune, it's a marching air, so again, also we get to sort of see it in action, almost in slow motion, but in real time. So it's wonderful, a wonderful video. And also look for the left hand, how much he's supporting the fiddle with his wrist, but certainly he's in a place where he can just hang out with his fourth finger down, no problem. It's a marching air. It's almost like we get to see him in slow motion. Look at that arm, the right arm. Turned into the bow, back fingers off loosely. All the fourth fingers on the left hand. Pushes. Joey on the piano. Now have an appreciation for how elusive it is to both get a connected stroke from one into the other, and also the individual energy that you need at the beginning of each stroke.
I have a question. Is he resting the fiddle against the inside of his arm?
I do believe he is, and actually we'll see another example of that with Cameron Chisholm. And so then the question is, do you have to do that in order to play this music? No, you don't. There are lots of fiddlers who don't, and including Buddy himself. And that's maybe the biggest point of all right now, is that this is an example of what he's doing when he's just kind of at rest and playing the violin just in the most comfortable way for him possible. He doesn't always do it this way, like I said, but I think it just begs us all, if we want to get a clue about this music, to give it a try, to see if our bodies can do that too, and get that kind of ease for both the left and the right arms, while you're playing, both the ease and the beautiful timing and the energy pulses. All right. Okay. While we're on this video, later on, we're going to see Kinnon. So Kinnon and Joey are brothers. Joey's on the piano, Kinnon is the left-handed fiddler, and we're going to see them play together. And have a look at this. What I find is pretty cool about this is, well, you'll hear going into from the strathspey into the reel, and you won't see Buddy's foot, unfortunately, because it's behind the speaker, but you'll see Kinnon's foot, and you'll see that Kinnon has a different style of beating than Buddy. Buddy, you'll see his knees looks like it's not as active as Kinnon, because Buddy is doing the rocking back and forth, and Kinnon is doing more of the bouncing back and forth. So he's really lifting off on his foot after the heel and then after the toe as well. And then you'll see in that Kinnon, look for Kinnon's foot at the end of the strathspey. Once again, halfway through the last bar, that's where the change is to the reel. I'll just mention that as we get there. And then and then look at the bow push accents on that Buddy does, especially on all his slurs when he's going to do a down bow slur, and when he has quarter notes. The first time through in the second part of Flora MacDonald, I believe, is when Buddy has those up-driven bows, down, up, looping up 3 times, down, up, down. Okay, so listen to that again, and also watch that again, and also just, I don't know how I can explain this really, but those bow pushes that Buddy uses, when you actually do it, it looks effortless when he does it, but let me tell you, that takes a lot of energy, and it's just part of his stroke, and that's just something that's just incredible about his playing. Last part of Boggle Walkin' about to change into the reel. 1, 2, 3, here it goes, and those bow pushes, here comes the up-driven bows, watch. There, and again. Not again, no. Bow pushes. Tremendous energies on that. Okay, I found a video of Donald Angus Beaton, and that's Kinnon and Joey's father. And this is from 1970 Glendale, as you can see. And let's just have a little listen. He's standing, as you can see, because that's the more formal, used to be then, you did that because it's a more formal kind of presentation. And he's playing a strathspey and then into a reel. And I want you to see that even though he's standing, you can see his whole body going up and down with his foot and feeling the music as a strathspey on every beat and then every other beat in the reel. And notice, again, how he's holding the fiddle. You can't see exactly how his left arm is positioned, but just how the fiddle itself is. It's not exactly a conventional approach. I mean, it's almost on his right shoulder. It's kind of right in front of him. It's like his chin is on top of the ribs there. And again, does that mean we have to try that way to get that sound? Well, no, but it's interesting to try and to see that tradition bearer exhibit. This is how I play, this is how I do it, and I can get this sound this way, and it works well. The way his body is moving, that helps just the feel of the music, and then how the right arm is not distracted by other kinds of music movement that is not conducive to getting that direct energy into the kind of timing that you want. Very simple strokes. share one more thing, this time an audio of Ashley MacIsaac. I want you to hear him play a little bit of King George IV for the 4-note cuts that go quickly. So it's instead of, you really hear this, instead of, let's hear that. Let's hear that again, and this time a little slower. Saying that it's da-da-da-dum-da. You do the 4 notes very quickly, and then you wait. Let's start by playing that mini set, the first mini set. There we go. March. So we just did the first two parts of the march. And then so usually a 4-part pipe march is going to have the first part and the third part kind of linked in some way, and the second and the fourth part linked in some way. Usually third and fourth parts are somehow variations of the first two parts. Sometimes, though, the third part is kind of an independent part, and I think of it as a part that's kind of purposefully simple so that you can do some fun other things with it. And that's this is kind of a little bit one of those. The last part is obviously, to me, a variation of the second part. Second part goes, last part, right? And then that's it. Second part's the same. Second measure's the same, and then the same idea of the third bar. Then, so it's the fourth part's obviously a variation of the second part. But what about that third part? So we have. It's kind of just staying in place for a little bit. And you repeat it. And then 3-note link. Same thing below. 1. Repeat it. And then a link again. Back to the beginning. And then you're ending, which you already know. Perfect opportunity for putting some fun things in there. So instead of just so you can start off by, of course, playing drones and fourth fingers with some twiddles, like droning G string. Okay, so there's that. That's what you're kind of doing the rest of the tune as well. But now you can also add bowings. Right, so you might start simple. As it goes on, and you're hearing it's going to repeat the same thing, only a step lower, or go back and do the same thing, kind of hovering in place, then you can have more fun with the bowing. And that reminds one of another place where it has that kind of effect, which is Lucy Campbell, especially the fourth part, when you have... Are we ever going to change? So instead of just... Right. That same idea. So I'm doing the same things as Lucy Campbell. I'm doing the loop into treble, and I'm sometimes cutting up with 4s as well. So, so that's all just loops into treble. And maybe a 4 or 2, right? There's no magic place or it has to go here or it sounds better there. Just kind of where it feels like it needs a little burst of energy. So that's the idea. But let's, so now that's kind of what we're looking at. Let's go over the notes. So we start with a A major arpeggio, C sharp down to A. And again. And then these 3 notes. F sharp down. And then the same thing, only in step lower. And then these 4 notes. B, up to E, and coming back to B. Through the D. and then you repeat it. So let's do that already. Repeat. Link. Same thing. Link. Back to home. And up. So that's the new part. Try that. Again. And the ending. Again. Ending. One more time. Right, and even while we're learning it, we can remember Buddy's bow arm, magic bow arm. You know, or Cameron Chisholm's, you know, a little bit floppier. And just have it all work as a unit so that nothing gets distracted out of place like that, but just simple. Connected, but not connected in one, like a single dimension, like, but with bursts. Here we go. And go. Again. Maybe. One more time. Maybe fours. Okay, and the last part, so it starts like the second part, but you keep going, you don't stop on the E. Like that. And go. Let's do that a couple of times. Again. Next one, down one step. A little different. Let's try that one. And again. One more. Next part goes like this. B to E first. And again. The whole thing, the second part there. Open string E up to the G. And play. Again. One more. And then the beginning again. Fourth part. One more. Third part, third. Again. Fourth part. Now, strathspey. Here, get and.
Can you do the how the loop into treble works in that third part? Can you do it a little slowly so I can figure out where the notes go?
Yeah, I'm not sure I know where they go. Okay, let's see. I'm laughing because when I actually play this tune, I don't play that the way it's written, because I play a Donald MacLellan variation, and I had to decide whether which way I was gonna even write it out for you, because to me it goes a little differently. But I'll try. Yeah. I'll play it Donald's way in a minute, but I won't confuse you with that. So. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think it's the first part. Right here. So I'm doing the loop into treble on the A's. A, and then A again. I'm just catching the D pickup note at the end. And then, same thing. But you can add more. So those are the main places I think that are good. And yeah, but you can go. There's Donald. Okay, there's Donald. Okay. So instead of doing the repeated thing, right? He goes up the scale and says. Which I think is brilliant. So okay, that's kind of a secret little variation you can put in. Giving Big Donald MacLellan the credit. The ending of the march is in half bars, right? Then you start beating on every beat in the last bar of the march, because that's what it says on our handy dandy summary. And you slow down a bit to where you want the strathspey tempo to be. So in this case, if you want it there, let's say, and you're going along, and there you are. You just slow down those last quarter notes of the march, and you start beating every one so that you feel like it's a strathspey. Okay, so, but speaking of loops into trebles, that's what we're going to be looking at on Donald John the Tailor. I think the best thing to do is do the up-driven bow first. Up-driven bow with just another up bow or straight-slur. And then on the second time, there is where you can add the little loop or the treble at the end of the loop. So let's try that, couple of those. E into D, A. So E, and then 3 A's. Loop, straight slur. That's enough of that. Well, actually, not quite. Let's do some trebles now. So we're going to go. Same thing, but with the treble. Treble, treble. All right. So how does that work in there? First, the up-driven bow without the treble, treble. Now with. Does that make sense? And you can obviously put them in wherever you want, but I just think that way you get, it sounds good that way, I think, and also you get practice doing both because they're both good techniques and obviously also related, but different. So there you are. Second part has that great moment for the backstring ornament or substitution, and it's a fun one, especially because that's one of those where you skip 2 octaves by skipping 1, if you see what I mean. Because it's already an octave leap there. So if you go, so you get to play 3 octaves, 3 different octave A's in 3 consecutive notes. Well, okay, that's a B. And then while we're there, we'll just do some Mary McDonald whip bows and some nice droning. Doing those whip bowings, which is, it's basically the same thing, only you're doing more of it. Which is you're getting the energy at the beginning, and then you're getting the momentum, revving it up again into the up bow and whipping into the up bow. And you do all that in like a triplet. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So. let's do that a couple of times. Second part, twice through again, and then we'll go back and do the whole one. Again. Ending. Why don't we do that other mini set so we get a chance to also run through. The Campbell Brothers. I'll tell you what, let's just run that through once, the Campbell Brothers, to remind ourselves how that goes. And then we'll just play the last two parts of the march through Donald, John the Tailor, and Campbell Brothers together. So first Campbell Brothers to remind ourselves. And let's see, so for this, I think mainly we want just to have that sense of freedom of the pairs of the notes, right? And so not just, but so we get that going with the body, so it's really solid, and then we can kind of play around with the rhythms and the pairs. But for now, let's just remind ourselves how this goes. Ready? Here we go. Ready and go. Ready? So we'll do just CCDD and then twice each. Donald John the Tailor, and then Campbell Brothers. Our little mini set. All right. A one, a two, a 1, 2, 3, 4. Again.
I think is a hangover from French Canadian fiddling, and it will not go away in Campbell Brothers. It's 3 singles, 3 together, 2 singles. It's a bowing.
That's not wrong to do. You just want to do it, you know, once in a while.
Okay.
Yeah, because... And remember that because there's... Oops, I'm getting a little carried away. Because there's more emphasis on individual notes, getting energy, even when you do it, it won't be like that, but it might be like that. Like a loop. You know, even without, there's just something there. It's not going to be like that. Do you hear the difference?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Or also just do a straight slur at the end, and that's plenty. So, right? And it still feels like a slur because you haven't slowed it down. See the difference? Actually, that's kind of cool. I like that.
Fun, thank you.
Yeah. Andrea Beaton with Hilda Chiasson on piano. So Andrea is Kinnon's daughter, so Donald Angus's granddaughter. So we've got 3 generations of Beatons, and Joey's niece. I don't know who the guitar player is. I should, but I don't. Anyway, now there's so much on here that's fun. There's so much here. To start off with, I think we'll hear her play King George V again, just to keep the keep that going. But look at her body motion. When Andrea Beaton, it's just absolutely living and breathing the music through her body in a much more visceral way than most fiddlers. And you can just see, especially in the reels, how this motion that I'm talking about, the flexing of the spine and through the foot, and just makes a natural, it makes the music come out exactly right in such a natural way. And also, you'll notice it also makes for frequent ghost notes on the downbeats, like I was talking about, and you'll hear that. And then watch Hilda watch her own left hand over and over again. That's where the focus is for her. She has all this amazing syncopation in her right hand. That's just beating on the drum. The left hand is where she's focused. Where's that left hand going? Right, piano players? Where's that left hand going? And yeah, there's just so much wonderful stuff in it. And then also you'll see little cutaways to people's foot tapping, and you get to see how they're feeling this the footwork and so on. So let's just see a little bit. There we go. still, I think my favorite is to see the kitchen parties and people sort of hanging on the stairs, listening, and it's just.
Don't you think they would laugh if they knew that all these years later we were watching their kitchen parties?
Well, yes and no. Maybe they might laugh that I'm presenting it in a class.
Yeah.
But certainly, I mean, they live and breathe. I mean, this music and everybody I've talked to, it's like, all of their most valued tapes, their most treasured recordings are not the commercial ones. They like them, they'll play them, but no.
Mm-hmm.
Wait till you hear this one, from 1961, and it's, Duncan Macquarie, Mary McDonald, and, Mary Jessie on the piano, and, it's, yeah. So I think that they would actually, I would like to think that they would actually think somebody got it right, to be looking for those.
I'm really encouraged by this notion of the bent wrist. It seems to make it available, without that impossible strain.
Magic always comes with a price. And the same thing in this case, it's the same thing. I mean, you got the magic of making the fourth finger suddenly like, oh, no problem, right? But that comes with a price. Did you notice that? I would say that in the slow airs, the tone production. I mean, if that's something that you're interested in, is a little limited. If you're like that, right? You have a little bit more limited than if you have that freed up. So I mean, you just gotta know what your what the trade-offs are, and and say, yeah, let me give that a try. And when I teach privately, my one hard and fast rule is a non-rule. It's that nothing can be stuck in any place, and so it's like anything is fine. If you want to do this or whatever you want to do is just fine. If you want to do this, that's fine. But if that's stuck there, that's a problem. If you want to do that, that's fine. But if it's stuck there, it's a problem. And the same thing, with the bow. I don't mind if you go into more classical bow, but hold or whatever. But anywhere you are, if it's stuck there and you can't, wiggle around and just adjust, then that for me is a problem. And I know I have my own stuck places, so it's not like, oh, I've got it all figured out. No, but that's in my mind, that's my one rule. No getting stuck in any one position. So, but that also works with my philosophy that tension is your friend. What's not your friend is being stuck there or anywhere else. So if you can, you need a lot of tension and a lot of energy for this music. So you're going to need tension. Just like when I'm saying, when you open that arm and even raise the shoulder, do whatever you want to get the power that you need. Just don't be stuck there, right? Or with the fourth fingers and all that. Anytime I have a moment, my hand's going to be going this way, right? Because that, even if like this, I mean, that's going to be tiring after a while too, just like this is.
Yeah.
This is where my hand wants to rest. It's kind of like that's a more natural position if you just kind of do that than that. Right? Right? So I'm rotating so that my fingers to be parallel to the strings. That's much more of a stretch than perpendicular to the strings. If my knuckles are perpendicular to the strings, anyway. That's kind of my philosophy is that absolutely you need tension. That's how muscles work, right? They need to be taught and then released. But yeah, don't be afraid of using tension. Just don't be stuck there. I always have to scratch my head though at players who come to me and say, "Oh yeah, what I really want to learn is how to be relaxed when I play the fiddle." I'm like, well, if you figure it out, let me know. So let's see what we've got here. Bow hold. So, we're talking about the wrist being up and into the bow a little bit, turned into the bow, and let the back fingers, just come off. Just what we were talking about there. that looks maybe a little different than the conventional classical hold, which the fourth finger's on there. And then the violin hold itself can be quite, as you can see, can be quite unconventional as well. But the main thing is that it's very stable. You can think of it as a table, no matter what. Nothing too much is going to sit on that table, but maybe on top here. But if you think of it, so no matter where you're going, it's going to go with you. But you don't want to like, especially this is for Baroque violinists, especially in Baroque music, Baroque violin, we want that to be like an extension of another shoulder or another limb. And this is exactly the opposite. You don't want it to be kind of tight, but it's just going to be just still. It's just going to be quiet. The neck and the head and especially the violin, because you want this feeling, of course, to go through and not encumber or distract your the power that you have to get from the simple strokes that's going to get this power in your bow arm. That's definitely going to change angles and all sorts of things that it's going to just kind of get in the way. So yeah, very stable violin, and maybe experiment with letting the left wrist bend a bit. Maybe not always, but you can just sort of see, especially when you're doing like these marches. And you can definitely let it relax and in between moments. But see if that doesn't. We'll see when we get to the section on ornaments that the very first thing is that fourth finger with the ornament unison. Anyway, so then the violin, so keeping the head and neck still. The footwork corresponding to the body movement. So you want to beat the heel on each of the beats of the strathspey, and then the heel toe rocking for the reel. And you want to keep the foot close to the floor, kind of almost sticky a little bit there, so that you're not sort of bouncing to, like a basketball or something. Just keep it close to the floor. And then you want to flex the spine to move the body vertically, to get that that natural kind of natural lilt that's going to go into the music, instead of. And as you saw already from when you see the Buddy and other fiddlers, you don't need a lot of it, but it's definitely there, and we'll see more of that in the next videos that I'll show you. And then so then I just describe a little bit about the basic stroke, like we've just been talking about, with the energy at the beginnings of the stroke, with the immediate release, and then the bow pushes like Buddy, so you're ready with that bow grip and the arm to just give a big push when you want to on the longer notes, the quarter notes. And those bow push accents, which is like the basic energy strokes, but even more so, they're always going to have some kind of a left hand ornament, whether it's a flick, warble, or some kind of or especially a pull in. Those kinds of things. So this energy that's coming from the right hand, or without that drone and pull in, that's what that ornament there is. The warble there. Without that, it's hard to kind of get motivated, to motivate my right arm to kind of, put out some energy, some kind of happy energy there. It's kind of be like, really? Aren't you going to kind of join me? So they all work together. So the foot kind of is motivating, getting the energy flowing from the rest of your body through the body, and that's going to feed into both sides of your body, kind of helping each other. All right, and then the different kinds of connecting on the up bows. There's up, and slur. Those are the kind of normal ones, but they're not the same in Cape Breton music. We were talking about that. The up is really a percussive first one, like so like, or maybe. And then a slur, if you want to go, it's not just, but with a bow push. Okay, so there's always that extra energy on what might seem like a normal kind of maneuver. And then the more fun ones, I think, the straight slur and the loop, and we were just talking about some of those, the straight slur. It's an uncontrolled stroke. You're going straight through without stopping, like, or the loop. A little more controlled because you're just doing two ups that are connected. So they're not separated, but just resurged without stopping completely. But mostly the loops are in between beats, like, and often on the same note. So you all know that. In the updriven bow, we just did updriven and loop into trebles. The cutting up of a tune, we were just talking about that. You can use loops into trebles, loop into trebles. I'm not sure what the plural is of that. To cut up the tune, or you can do 3s or 4-note cuttings as well. And we'll hear some more versions of King George V. That's kind of where it's all built in. Okay, so then in the next section we actually talk about one of the left hand ornaments. So the very first one, as advertised, is the fourth finger unison, and there's that word schneller. It's a German word meaning a one-cycle trill starting on the main note. It just happens to be already out there. I don't know of any other word that means that, and that's what I want. So it's just like, you start on the note and just do that. Or, but anyway, but you can just call it a little turn or a trill or something. But it's not a trill like that. It's just one of those. So fourth finger unison. That's just has to always be number one on your list of what ornaments to fit into this music, because it's so iconic. It really does a lot to make the sound the right sound. Okay, then we have the pull-ins, also called hammer-ons or delays. We just talked about that in the march, like on the beat with all the energy on those. And then the warbles, which is a little bit below the note, just barely lifting. And then the flick or trill is above the note with some finger. Drones, whip bows we kind of mentioned, and the fingered slide we haven't talked about in a while, but that's an upward third in the so like here we have in John the Tailor. Now we have maybe, let's just say that's going to be part of the tune there. There's the third, rising third, and if you just add the middle note and play it in a way that sounds like a glissando, but I'm fingering, that's a fingered slide. So you can hear the notes, but it's kind of a little bit smooth. Okay, then the stubbies that we talked about on the, what did we? At some point. And then the syncopation will just kind of come out, reveal itself, if you have that stubby on the downbeat, on a main beat. And that's also that stubby or ghost note really it works really well with basically the heel toe movement, the body. That's going to just it's going to kind of let that come out naturally. I just have to kind of think it. Okay, and then the backstring substitutions, we just got to do some of those. Wild notes is just substituting usually a fourth finger on the E string. So it's usually a fourth finger and usually on the E string, like in Lucy Campbell. Like, instead of, I'll go, or, right? Instead of the third finger, the fourth finger. And then finally, there's those two reminders of the transitions from march into strathspey, which we just talked about, and we just had some practice on, and then especially the strathspey to the reel, which we talked about in the last classes. On the last bar of the strathspey, that when you're going to go into the reel, you change from the 1, 2, 3, 4 of the tapping of the heel. 1, 2, 3, 4. The last bar, 1, 2, and change to the reel. Last bar. Okay, so that's a lot of the techniques that there's a lot of stuff that we went through, so that's kind of cool. I think we can just maybe review some more of the things for each tune that we were doing, putting in there, and then maybe playing through the whole set. As a last big hurrah. So, yeah, we already talked a bit about the march. That's where the pull-ins are, you know. Right? You've got your basic stroke in these first, I think the march and Morag's wedding are really the two main ones where you want to just get that basic stroke, and then in the reel probably the flail. If you're going to just look for the basic stroke, you know, like or getting energy on each one, you know, or also or if you want to do more like Hammer and Chisholm, you know, or etc., etc. You know, but you know, you can try. You know, I like to think of studying these different videos and tapes as kind of giving myself permission. Say, okay, you know, why not? What is that like? To just open that arm fully up, and just all of a sudden have the power of that with the wrist turned in, and also simultaneously be close to the point where I can be super snappy with the bow. What does that feel like? I wouldn't have given myself permission if I hadn't seen him do that. I've seen other people, you know, play there with, you know, like Winston Fitzgerald and Jerry Holland, but the same idea way up there. It's kind of cool, kind of fun, you know, to give that a try. So yeah, I kind of like that idea. Yeah, so that's the basic stroke. Those are good tunes for that. We already went through Donald John. So Morag's Wedding, just lots of all the fourth fingers, of course, and all these open A tunes. You know, do you remember we were doing keeping the fourth finger down for 2 whole bars, almost a bar and a half? So if you want to try finding a place where your fourth finger is happy, Morag's Wedding is the one. I'll give it a try now. See what you just put that fourth finger down on the D string and just leave it there for a while. But in a way that it just feels like it's happy there. It's home. so that when you're in the second part, you won't think twice about putting that fourth finger down, even if it's just for a moment. Otherwise, you wouldn't, you know, it's too annoying if it's not already kind of like, you know, in a place that feels like home for it. So that's that. And New Waterford Coal Mines, of course, that's the Mabu modal tune, where you're going along, and then you have this it looks, you know, kind of normal looking, except otherwise it's an A major tune, but you've got that G natural and that first part there, and that's kind of like a wild note in a way, but it sounds right now because it's been done so much in that tradition. But really the note probably should be F sharp, right? That should be the note. And so it's kind of like a slightly wilder version of it, putting that lowered seventh modal feeling to it. The Mabu modal in New Waterford Coal Mines. And also in New Waterford Coal Mines has got that rocking back and forth in the second part. Which you can do, you know, you can cut it up easily because you're rocking back and forth. Or just like Lucy Campbell. Or you can, it's also a good place to do whip bows when you have the rocking back and forth. A little bit similar to Donald John. That kind of a thing. In that part as well. Okay, then Lucy Campbell. That's the one. Actually, that's actually worth just having a quick look through. Well, maybe I'll just talk through it anyway. So the first part you can do cutting up with fours. Like that instead of... And all of these endings you can put a wild note instead of the A. Or here's the wild. Second part can be full of wild notes. The third part is just crying out for backstring substitutions. And the last part, of course, that's the loop-into-treble special. So it's the same as... only you're going back and forth between the strings. With push bows in between. Which, of course, are going to be accompanied by what? Something in the left hand. Second part, a second ending. That, of course, the change on the last bar in the middle, and change. And then Lea Rig, we've got the ghost notes on the, if you want to bring out the syncopations. We have a fingered slide opportunity. Fingered slide is, I think we were talking about that with going through the thing. It's an upward third. There's the third right there, F sharp to A. And if you add the middle note and play them in a way that sounds like a glissando, I'm still fingering them, but and then put maybe with a drone. that. All right, and of course through all of these, anytime you have two ups, you got your choice, right? Or 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 fat flat stroke, just for a rest from all of them, all of the amazing variety. Back into the Andrea Beaton groove. And then in the flail, this was a great one for doing those the different up-ups. Those ones, just for me, they really like the little stubbies. And then the straight slur. Because the second one is like it's a scale. Even just that little, well, you're dropping to the lowered seventh in the harmony. A, right away to the G, and up the scale. That's kind of more, that part is a little more groovy, or a little syncopated. Another possibility for the octave substitution. And then Campbell Brothers, which is just a wild tune. Here we go. Ready? So all four parts of the march. I think it's just one time through though, and then twice through the rest. Let's see how this goes. Oh, my.
That's a great set.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of great tunes, and like I was saying before, so you can put it together in almost any, as long as you keep the strathspeys together. Yeah, John the Tailor doesn't want to go too fast, but other than that, you can swap almost everything else. And so I hope that you all enjoyed this little dive that we took into this
It was
music.
great. This is
Yes.
really, really, really good.
Oh, great, great.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Let's do another one.